Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshi Chanzom. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 22nd of February. Indian Prime Minister Modi calls for self-reliance in defence sector, invites private firms. Exiled dissidents urge FATF to blacklist Pakistan for terror financing. And Nepal gears up to begin inoculation drive for elderlies as it receives Made in India vaccines. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday emphasized the need to make India's defence sector more self-reliant, changing the country's image as one of the largest defence importers in the world. While addressing a webinar on effective implementation of the union budget provisions in the defence sector, he said that the private sector should now be included in big defence projects.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday spoke about the need to make India's defence sector more self-reliant, while highlighting that India is among the largest defence importers in the world and his government is committed to changing this. Addressing a webinar on effective implementation of the union budget provisions in the defence sector, PM Modi said that the private sector should now be included in big defence projects. He listed government measures to make the sector self-reliant, which include reforms such as delicensing, deregulation, export promotion and foreign investment liberalization.
ये प्राइवेट सेक्टर से आग्रह करूंगा कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के साथ-साथ डिजाइन और डेवलपमेंट में भी आप आगे आएं। भारत का विश्व भर में परचम लहराएं। मौका है, जाने मत दीजिए।
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also highlighted that separate capital expenditure provisions in the union budget for domestic and foreign defence procurements will give huge thrust to the domestic industries.
As India's Kerala, Maharashtra, Punjab, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh states are experiencing a surge in COVID-19 cases, authorities have ordered fresh restrictions on people's movement and night curfews in some cities. Following the spurt in coronavirus cases, Maharashtra government has asked people to follow COVID-19 appropriate behavior and safety norms. Full capacity in educational institutes, gathering at public events and markets of Maharashtra are also being restricted till March. The total number of confirmed cases has crossed 11 million in India, including 156,385 deaths. Though national trends are worrying, new daily cases are still well below a mid-September peak of nearly 100,000. This comes as second phase of the vaccination drive across the country will commence next month, in which people above the age of 50 years will be vaccinated. India on Sunday signed a $50 million defense line of credit agreement with the Maldives to facilitate the country's capability building in the maritime domain. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar was on a two-day visit to the island nation over the weekend, where he held talks with the country's top leaders to further strengthen bilateral ties and explore new areas of cooperation.
India and the Maldives on Sunday signed a defense line of credit agreement worth $50 million. The deal was signed by officials during the ongoing visit by India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar. Both sides agreed to maintain peace and security in the Indian Ocean region during extensive discussions held over 2 days. The two sides also signed a pact to develop, support and maintain a Maldives National Defence Force Coast Guard harbour for maritime security in the region. The project is seen as key to India's and Maldives' strategic interests, particularly given Beijing's increasing footprint in the Indian Ocean region. Jaishankar, in a joint statement with his Maldivian counterpart Abdullah Shahid, agreed on the importance of maintaining peace and security in the Indian Ocean region.
I wish to say that our time-tested relationship is today poised for a quantum jump, scaling newer heights and touching the lives of the people like never before. We are partners in development, but also in promoting peace and security in the region.
During his visit, Jaishankar met President Ibrahim Soli and Speaker of the People's Majlis Mohammad Nasheed, among others. He reaffirmed India's fullest commitment as a comprehensive development partner of the island nation, including during COVID-19.
Moving on, exiled dissidents from Pakistan, Tibet and Hong Kong gathered outside the headquarters of the Financial Action Task Force in Paris this past weekend, urging it to blacklist Pakistan for failing to curb terror financing and allowing Islamist terror groups to operate freely on its soil. The FATF is expected to decide Pakistan's fate this week during its plenary meeting beginning from Monday.
Exiled dissidents belonging to Baloch, Pashtun, Uyghur, Tibet and Hong Kong communities gathered outside the headquarters of the Financial Action Task Force or FATF in Paris this past weekend, urging the global terror financing watchdog to blacklist Pakistan as they raised concerns over Islamabad's support to terrorism in the region. The protesters raised questions over Islamabad's failure to take any significant action against designated terrorists, including Masood Azhar of Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hafiz Saeed of Lashkar-e-Taiba, who are the masterminds of the 2019 Pulwama terror attack and the 2008 Mumbai attacks. They also cited recent acquittal of terrorist Omar Saeed Sheikh, who was sentenced for the brutal murder of American journalist Daniel Pearl in Pakistan. This comes as members of the FATF are meeting from February 22 to 25 to decide the fate of Pakistan, which is already on its grey list. The demonstrators urged the FATF not to come under the pressure and blackmail by China, a close strategic partner of Pakistan, which has been defending and often covering up for Pakistan's links to terror groups.
The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, in a telephonic conversation with Chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation in Afghanistan, Abdullah Abdullah, has said that Washington supports durable political settlement and permanent and comprehensive ceasefire in Afghanistan. This comes as U.S. President Joe Biden last week said the United States is fully committed to working with NATO allies on the way forward in Afghanistan.
The Secretary of State Antony Blinken, while speaking to Chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation in Afghanistan, Abdullah Abdullah, has said that the United States supports durable political settlement and permanent and comprehensive ceasefire in Afghanistan. The U.S. Department of State over the past weekend in a statement said Blinken and Abdullah in the conversation discussed the United States' review of its strategy in Afghanistan. This comes as U.S. President Joe Biden last week said that the United States will work together with its allies in Europe and that his administration is fully committed to working with NATO allies on the way forward in Afghanistan. Under the Doha Agreement between the Taliban and the U.S., Washington had agreed to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan by May 2021, and in exchange, the militant group was expected to deny safe haven to terrorist groups. However, citing the increase in violence, the NATO has announced that the military alliance will only leave Afghanistan when security conditions on ground allow it.
Moving on to news from Nepal. Nepal on Sunday received the 1 million doses of Covishield vaccine it brought from India's Serum Institute in a major boost to country's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. With the new lot of vaccines, the government will now launch the second phase of vaccination drive on March 7 to inoculate elderly people. Nepal on Sunday received another 1 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccines from India. This is the second shipment of the AstraZeneca vaccine manufactured by Serum Institute of India under the name Covishield. The vaccines are the first of the two batches of 2 million doses in total that Nepal government has decided to procure. According to Nepal's Health Ministry, with the new lot of vaccines, the government will launch the second phase of vaccination drive on March 7 to inoculate people above 60 years, which is 8.73% of Nepal's population.
गतेदेखि फागुनको 23 गतेदेखि अब हामी उमेर समूहमा गाउँ-गाउँमा हरेक पालिकामा खोप लिएर जाँदै छौं र सुरुमा हामीले 60 वर्ष माथिकालाई दिन्छौं र सहभागिता हेर्दै 55 वर्षसम्मलाई सबै ज्येष्ठ नागरिकहरूलाई खोप दिने कार्यक्रम छ।
Earlier, India, under grant assistance, had provided 1 million doses of the Covishield vaccine as gift to the Himalayan nation in January. Nepal had then kicked off its vaccination drive on January 27 and was over on February 5, with only 171,486 people taking the jabs. Nepal has so far reported 273,431 COVID-19 cases and 2,061 fatalities. A winter carnival organized to revive the pandemic-hit tourism sector attracted scores of visitors to Pahalgam in India's Jammu and Kashmir over the past weekend. The two-day event witnessed cultural programs, display of art and craft, and local cuisine.
A two-day winter carnival showcasing traditional artwork and cuisine of India's Jammu and Kashmir was held over the past weekend in its Pahalgam town, aimed at reviving the pandemic-hit tourism sector. The festival included an exhibition of crafts drawn from adjoining villages, tapestry of cottage craft and handicrafts, cuisine, fruits and other components of the village economy. Traditional folk music and dance performances were also organized for hundreds of visitors enjoying winter stay in the resort town.
मतलब यहाँ से जाएंगे तब इसको मत मतलब जिंदगी में ऐसा नहीं देख पाएंगे। जिंदगी में ये जो चीज देख लिया ना इससे आगे कुछ नहीं।
During winters, the holidaying crowds from the plains of India thronged Jammu and Kashmir in huge numbers to experience snowfall. Officials of the tourism department said the carnival was a part of initiatives to promote Pahalgam as a winter destination and also display rural flavor to the visitors.
Sonam Wangchuk, an Indian innovator, has devised a solar power heated military tent that would not only accommodate soldiers in rough terrains but would also help them keep warm in areas of freezing temperatures. This tent is a solar passive structure that is portable, prefabricated and can be assembled on the spot.
Engineer, education reformer and innovator Sonam Wangchuk from India's northern Ladakh territory has proposed a solar-powered heated tent for the use of the Indian Army stationed in the freezing Himalayan desert as an alternative to polluting use of hydrocarbon fuels. The prototype displayed by Wangchuk can accommodate up to 10 soldiers and has an insulated sleeping cabin which will remain warm all the time and solar lounge which will be warm only during the daytime. The material is based on water that absorbs and retains heat at night. The total weight of the tent will not exceed 30 kgs, which will make it relatively easier to be carried in remote border areas without air assistance, said Wangchuk.
There was a very difficult situation developing for both sides, posting like 50,000 soldiers in the mid of polar winter in Ladakh, and the only way to counter that would be to burn kerosene and oils, and that would release a lot of carbon dioxide in the air and pollution inside, fire risks and so on. So we developed this tent which would be fully solar heated, which means that in a place like Ladakh, which has roughly 300 sunshine days, you don't have to import oil and burn it to pollute the environment.
Ladakh is an extremely cold Himalayan desert where the temperature dips to minus 25 degrees even in the city areas, and for the forward post where the army is stationed, the temperatures can go down from minus 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. To keep themselves warm, a lot of hydrocarbon fuels, especially kerosene, is used by the soldiers, which in return generates millions of tons of carbon dioxide, which pollutes the Himalayas and also presents health problems for the men stationed there.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @AsAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.